got in the room. What did I do with the my shit? I keep losing stuff. I'm looking for my get in the room key. I think it's in the bathroom. Maybe it's in the bathroom. Shit. Where is that in the bathroom? Where the hell is it? I might sweat. Oh, here we go. And a good morning to you. It is Tuesday, June 24th. And this morning I'm gonna getting ready to go downstairs, grab some money, go eat something quickly, and hop on the bus to take a city tour all over the place. Hopefully end up in Harlem. So I'll do the best that I can to document everything, keep you entertained and well informed. Um, Yesterday, I spent most of the time out on the streets of New York, inside taxi cabs, inside Grand Central Station. Went to the early morning television show. I what else did I do? Went to Kmart. Went to Madison Square Garden. Went to the post office. Went to eat at the local restaurants. Bought souvenirs and got a sense of the city layout, which is, like I said, a lot like San Francisco. It's a lot like the Mission District. In San Francisco, that's the only city right now off the top of my head besides Las Vegas. And it's not so commercialized like Las Vegas is, but some of the buildings reminds you of Vegas. And while on the subject of buildings, I wanted to show you that I don't know how they have their zoning out here, but they have skyscrapers in the midst of residential buildings. It amazes me. So that's why I said it's a lot like San Francisco. But this is a peek outside my window. Oops, wrong way. I did a lot of chit-chatting yesterday, and a couple of days, a few days, less than a few days, I'm going to be going to Central Park, but I wanted to show you, this is a building directly across the street, and panning up as far as I can get, that's a skyscraper right there. Check that out. And then right next to it, well, see, those are two skyscrapers right next to each other. It's amazing how they did that. And then here's these apartments. So it really does remind you of San Francisco. Well, at least it reminds me of San Francisco. Look at that. So today, I don't know if I'll make it today, but between now and tomorrow, I'll be going to the where I need to go. I can't say right now, but you'll know when I get there. And here's some locals or vacationers, whatever the case. So I hope here's my room. It's a mess, but that's okay. And I got up later. Today. I don't know, maybe because I woke up at 9-ish, almost 10, and then I stayed up until 12 something and fell asleep. So long, goodbye, and I hope you like my day. Oops, sorry. I'll think of more to chat about at a later time. So until then, praise Yahweh. Hope everybody's doing okay in California, and let's get rocking. Oh, I wanted to give a big shout out to my great niece and my great nephew. What's up, sugar? What's up, baby bruh? I love you. I'll be home soon to take you to the zoo. Now, you guys wanted to go to the arcade. And they have a really nice arcade down the street here. So, today's barbecue. I got on the scale yesterday and it said that I weighed 143, which I was surprised. And today I said 145, and after all of that walking I did. So, it says 145.3. I'm going to see what it says when I get back. Oh, no. Hips is just bam. Ciao.
You take one.
guys take the tunnel to the Yankee Stadium? Oh.
There was something, subway up there. Train. Yeah.
The what?
Train.
Train.
Subway, train. Well, we don't have to cross the river to get there, do we? Yeah, we do.
No. Where did he go?
Você aqui ou eu fico ali que vou poder passar aqui? Você quer vir aqui na janela? Não.
Maybe off in a bit. In a little bit. I'll be right behind the announcer so we can see and hear everything. Everything. And we will pause for the call. Your friendly neighborhood video girl. Back out. Checking out. In a minute. Fader. And fader. Fading.
Marilyn Monroe cooed "Happy Birthday" to then President John F. Kennedy. Look at this big old building here on your right. You see, it used to be the Knights of Columbus. So this was a Catholic fraternal lodge that became a hotel, and now it's condominiums. And we see some of the older buildings, tenements from the 1800s here to your right. And in a moment, we'll be leaving the theater district. But first, look down there. You see the Neil name for a living playwright. And look down here to your left. There you see the horse-drawn carriages eagerly trotting up the avenue on their way to Central Park. And we'll be showing you some of the park on both sides, the east side, the west side. And the theater district kind of ends right here at 54th Street and begins at 41st Street. And right here around the corner for fans of Seinfeld, you're going to see the inspiration for the Soup Nazi character. There you see Al's Soup Kitchen. It's been closed now for a couple of years. So off to our left, we've got a neighborhood called Hell's Kitchen, and our next neighborhood that we're going to be going into in a moment is the area around Lincoln Center and the upper west side. Let me tell you how this works. I see some of you have just bought your tickets. Hands up for your brand new campers here. We're doing the Uptown Tour. I'll call out all the stops. We send the tour buses out about every 15 minutes or so until 5 o'clock. So you should all have brochures which contain maps. You can refer to those brochures and go back to the stops if you forgot where you exited the bus. So we run these tours continuously. Interesting building here on our left. Look up there. You can see the Hearst Corporation's new skyscraper shooting up like a rocket out of the old building.
Oh, excuse me.
William Randolph Hearst was going to build higher originally planned, but then the stock market crashed and he got a little nervous, so that's as much as he built, that older section you see there. But he never relinquished the air development rights, so after a hiatus of many years, they now have this interesting skyscraper designed by a well-known British architect named Lord Norman Foster. If you've got any Brits aboard, he designed the newest footpath or footbridge across the River Thames in London. On our right, the first General Motors building, and you can see they're either taking it down or renovating it entirely. I'm not sure what they're doing exactly, but rather a big building to demolish, so they Might be turning it into condominiums for all I know.
We're at stoplights where they stand up.
Yeah. If we're at a stoplight for traffic, you can stand up and take a quick picture. There we see the southwest corner of Central Park, and overlooking it and overlooking Columbus Circle and the statue of Christopher Columbus greets us here, we see the Time Warner Center, essentially New York's newest tower, is up here on the left. They got over 70 elevators in there. It's so big it's got 5 different addresses. Right up the block there and to your right you have the entrance to the CNN studios, so that's where Bill Dobbs and Lou Dobbs rather and others go to work. And we have condominiums in there and shops and private condos and apartments and a Mandarin Oriental Hotel, a luxury hotel up there. We make a stop here if anybody wants to get off. Sometimes we pick up passengers at the stop. So we'll see if does anybody want to get off here? So I'm going to call out all the stops as we go along, and should you decide to visit an attraction or museum or get a bite to eat, somebody's getting on. Okay.
Good morning.
Oh, Columbus Circle. This is Columbus Circle.
Okay. All right, folks, grab a seat now. Here on our left, Trump International Hotel and Tower. This used to be the Gulf and Western building. It was the parent corporation of Paramount Pictures. We used to have movie premieres here, and then Donald Trump got an architect to put on a new facade, and now it is a residential building where his second wife, his ex-wife Marla, and their child lived. Remember that short liaison? We're going to now make a left turn, but I'm going to show you where Madonna lives. You got a lot of celebrities that live here on Central Park, and if you look at the building up on the next block, you see the terrace wrapping around underneath the top 2 floors. That is where Madonna lives. She owns that duplex. And also Paul Schaefer, the band leader of The Late Show with David Letterman building. And now we're going by, look at this lovely building there. Be careful of the low-hanging branches here. We've got the West Side YMCA. You see this big Byzantine brick building, and they're doing some repairs on it, as you can see. So this is where Mark David Chapman stayed when he came to New York and set out to murder John Lennon. And again, be careful with branches. And look at this very incongruous building here on the right. You see this is a tenement building, the last one left standing, as a reminder of what this area used to look like before it was developed back in the 1960s. Now we're going to make a stop around the corner for anybody who wants to get off here at the Lincoln Center area. We see the New York City Ballet sign there. You see straight ahead, that is the side of the New York State Theater building where the New York City Ballet performs. And they're doing some renovations, extensive renovations of Lincoln Center. And I'll show you the other venues in a moment, including the Metropolitan Opera House and Avery Fisher Hall, where the New York City Philharmonic Orchestra performed. Does anybody want to get off at this next stop? Does anybody want to get off at Lincoln Center? Nope. Probably not much happening at the moment at Lincoln Center, but in the evenings, this area is very, very active. You've got 13,000 seats in the various venues at Lincoln Center. We have the Vivian Beaumont Theater and the Walter Reed Cineplex and Alice Tully Hall, in addition to the 3 big ones that you see here on our left. And we have a 1,000-seat theater for jazz up at the Time Warner Center, and it's called Jazz at Lincoln Center. So that brings the total to about 14,000 seats. So lots going on in this part of town. This is the Upper West Side, the sort of beginning of the Upper West Side, and we are on New York's Main Street, Broadway, heading uptown, that is north, and we are in a very, very affluent residential neighborhood. And there you can see the Metropolitan Opera House as you look to your left, the building with the arches. And you can see that they're doing some big work there in the plaza, so we probably won't be having as many live concerts. So we have concerts outdoors there, and some tap dancing and dancing under the stars and so on, somewhat. There's a fountain there. So there's always something happening here at Lincoln Center. And for that reason, and because it is an area that is pretty much residential, we have lots of restaurants in this neighborhood. Many, many bars, cafes, and restaurants. And ABC have their headquarters, or their very large presence in the Lincoln Center area, and they are up around the corner on the right. And as you look up here, you can see a gold-plated figure blowing a trumpet up there. What's happening? Is that a vision or a miracle? See that? Well, the building behind it, that is the Mormon headquarters, Latter-day Saints of their headquarters in this part of town, and it looks like it belongs to Lincoln Center, but it's really got nothing to do with Lincoln Center. Juilliard School of Music is off there to your left. They are now down in this part of town. And here to your right, you can see for a couple of blocks, ABC Studios. And if you look up here where I'm pointing, you'll see a condo building. That is where Regis Philbin lives, and also Howard Stern. They live way up there, no doubt with fine views overlooking Central Park. And we see school buses here and kids waiting to get into the biggest cineplexes here up in the Upper West Side. This is the Rose Cineplex, and they have an IMAX movie screen here. You know, one of those big tall guys, 3 stories, 40 feet high or 40, I don't know. So it's one of a very, very big screen, and so that's why the school buses are here. So the kids are going to go see, what's this one? Indiana Jones, Kung Fu Panda, You Don't Mess with the Zohan, and a bunch of other. We continue up Broadway. Look here to your right, there's a supermarket. A lot of people come to New York and say, guys, you guys just eat takeout and go to restaurants. No, we have supermarkets, but you're probably working in supermarkets that have parking lots. And we don't have parking lots here in New York City. There's not much available space. And look at the lovely architecture and some of the buildings here on the right. So these built in the early 1900s, and around the corner, look, you don't see it very well, but look here. You see that building and then the one beyond it? Can you see the sort of pharaoh sitting up there?
Do now.
You see all the ornamentation on the side of that building? So that used to be an old Shriner's building, and very, very ornate.
Ornate.
I believe it's now a school or condominium. Now what we're going to do is go across 72nd Street, and we'll make our next stop at Central Park. If anybody wants to get off and wander around, go down to Tavern on the Green, or if you'd like to go over to Strawberry Fields, a little area of the park dedicated to John Lennon's memory. So that will be our next stop. But first, look up here on the right. There you see the Doral Center. And John F. Kennedy Jr. lived in this apartment building for a while. And some of these buildings here were an attempt by the real estate industry to mimic the grand buildings that overlook spacious boulevards in older European cities. And so this was an attempt by the real estate industry to get people interested in living here on the Upper West Side as opposed to the East Side. So look at the grand arch here and the spacious windows.
Sort of black. No, go on. Not bothering. Go ahead. Go ahead. Dr. Chen.
Hi. Wollte auch ein bisschen so. Ja, den war schon.
Just gonna go. Sir.
Okay, so everybody's seated, and make sure you stay seated as the bus moves. Yeah.
West side is more expensive than east side?
No, I wouldn't say that. The Upper East Side is also very expensive. We have a lot of celebrities that live along here on 8th Avenue, Central Park West. Here, for instance, the San Remo. You can see the date when it was built, 1930. Bono lives in one of these towers here. Michael Douglas lives in this part of town, and so does
Which building?
Mia Farrow, who was in Rosemary's Baby. She lives in one of these buildings here. So you have a lot of well-known people, living in the Dakota and in all of these buildings. People who own the New York Times, the Salzburgers live in one of these grand towers. And we have 843 acres of park here. The park extends about 2.5 miles from 59th Street. It's a little under 2.5 miles long, a half a mile wide. And we're going to see more of the park later on when we come down Fifth Avenue. The next stop we'll make is coming up shortly, and it is the Natural History Museum. The American Museum of Natural History, one of the great treasures of the city, dedicated to the only president born in New York, and we'll see a statue of Teddy Roosevelt in a moment. But first we see on our left the oldest museum in New York. It's the New York Historical Society, and it dates from 1804. That's when it was founded. Now this is a later building. This was not built in 1804, but it contains the oldest museum. And look at the little poochies here. So as far as you look up 8th Avenue, you see nothing but these elegant apartment buildings. And looking back, you can see how ornate they are up at on the roof. And we have a few churches as well, as you can see. And I don't know if you saw people out on one of the lakes here rowboating. We've got several lakes. This whole park is a man-made creation, and it took 14 years to construct back in the mid-1800s. So it's just over 150 years old. And there we see a bust of Mr. Humboldt serving the floor. Natural History Museum, one of the great treasures, as I mentioned, in New York City, has a incredible collection of dinosaur bones that have been pinned together, very, very lifelike, all of dinosaurs. I mean, you could spend days in here and not see everything that interests you. They've got huge meteorites and gemstones and lifelike dioramas. It's a really great museum, and it's open 7 days. Most of our museums are closed on Mondays here in New York City. Yeah. I can't remember what the night at the museum. Yeah, this is where they were from that. I'm not sure what happens then when we animals come alive. Yeah. And behind the museum is a new planetarium. So it's a popular excursion for school outings, and you see the qualities of Teddy Roosevelt etched in the stone here. There we see Teddy Roosevelt for length on one side by an American Indian, and on the other side an African. He used to spend his summers out west as a boy, and he went on safari. So he's a great adventurer and outdoorsman and conservationist and scientist and all the rest. He was New York City Police Commissioner back in 1904, and there you see a representation. You see Cosmic Collisions, Hayden Planetarium, Space Show, Rose Center for Earth and Space. So that's on the other side of the building. We don't yet see it. So now they're having an exhibition about horses here. And we have a stop coming up in a moment. Here we can see the tour buses and school buses that have. So this is the Natural History Museum. There you can see various explorers, Lewis and Clark and John J. Audubon and Daniel Boone up there on the left. State of New York Memorial to Theodore Roosevelt, great leader of youth of America and energy and fortitude, the faith in defense of the rights of the people, the love and conservation of nature and the best of life and in man. So. Oh, and you can see live lizards and snakes. They did have a hall of butterflies. They were walking around with butterflies. So we'll pull up here, and anybody getting off here? Yeah, all right. So make sure you haven't left anything on the bus, and watch the steps getting off. And we do have people getting off, and so come on down. Peter Jennings, Beverly Stills, Tony Randall, they lived in this building. And Jerry Seinfeld lives in the Ferris wheel. And so does John McEnroe, and perhaps other celebrities. I don't know. I'm not overly interested in celebrities and where they live. So I don't really do the movie star tour, but you do have a lot of well-known people living on the Upper West Side. And sir, we need to get you seated back there. And here's why we don't want you standing up. You see these things here? And look down here to your right there. Not on the swing, not.
No.
Well, that's the Diana Ross playground, and I don't see any people in there playing. I don't know why. But in any case, she pays for the maintenance of this little playground for the kids.
Wow.
And this is the first time I've not seen anybody in there. I wonder maybe the sirens scared them all up. And you might have heard the rumble of a subway. We've got a subway system running up along the edge of the park here. And all our buildings have water tanks. Look up there on your left. You see where I'm pointing up here? So up there would be where the water tanks are located. And here to your right, you can see an outcrop of the bedrock. This is what New York City is made out of. This park is an entirely man-made park, except for that very hard stone. And I want you to look down here now to your left. These are the only, let's just go slowly here a second, please. Look here to your left. Thanks, Marlon. Look here. These are the only 3 townhouses of the wealthy that still stand. All of the rest of them were bought up by real estate developers and demolished to build these luxury apartment buildings. And
Central Park West.
this is Central Park West. It's basically 8th Avenue with a name. And there you can see one of the subway entrances down here to your left.
Subway.
And here we see one of the transverses to facilitate the flow of traffic from the east side to the west side. We have 4 transverses, and they're located every 20 blocks, or well, not 20, but 10, 12, and that helps traffic. Otherwise, you have to go around the park. We also have Park Drive that are closed on holidays and on Sundays. They're open for the morning and evening rush hour. But the beauty of the park's design is you're pretty much unaware of the flow of traffic across the transverses. And now we leave Central Park and we'll go back to Broadway. Look here to your left there, you see another old townhouse. An older building than the ones next to it. And a few more on the left. Towers are for water, because we only have water pressure up to about 5 floors. Anything higher than that, we have to pump it up. And be careful of the branches here. Get your head down. A lot of restaurants here on Columbus Avenue. That's 9th Avenue. I mentioned it earlier. That is the avenue that used to have the train running up. Looks like more old townhouses here to your right.
Jewish Center.
And we got an old Presbyterian church here with a very, very faded, weathered brownstone facade.
Like the one in San Francisco, Chinatown. This life.
So that dates from the 1800s. I'm not sure if they still have services here. I think they're going to renovate the building, so it may be temporarily closed. And we see another building occupying a whole block. It's called the Bell Nord Apartment, and it was built in 1919, and it would be very much at home over on Central Park, over there on 8th Avenue, Central Park West, but here it's very well situated because it's so close to Broadway. Here to the right, in the garden courtyard. See everybody in this apartment has a view down into the courtyard. And a well-known writer by the name of Isaac Bashevis, singer and Nobel Prize winner, he lived in this building. So there you see the entrance to the Broadway line here, and the beauty of this apartment is that although it's not overlooking Central Park, it's a short walk to the park. It's also a short walk to another park straight ahead, which goes up along the edge of the Hudson River it begins at 72nd Street, goes all the way up to the top of the island. So it goes up 4 or 5 miles, and you got the public transportation here. You've got theaters. You're not far from Zay Bars and Fairway, these wonderful gourmet food shops. And you've got the movies and the banks and you know, all the shops, and so it's very well situated. Nice place to live. And if you want parks, you go for a short walk, and you've got parks. And if you want to get around town quickly, you just hop on the subway. That's the way we New Yorkers get around. We walk a lot, but quickest way and most efficient way to get from point A to point B is using our subway system. So after you've done our tours for a few days, we hope you can get out, if you're still in town, get yourself a Metro card and free subway map, and what you learn with Gray Line should be enough to help you then negotiate this very straightforward city. And as far as transportation, it's pretty easy to get around town via our subway. So we're back on Broadway, and the next neighborhood we're going to go into is called a barrio, a Spanish or Latino neighborhood.
Barrio. Hey!
And we come over here to Broadway because sometimes we drop off or pick up passengers. There are a couple of hotels here, and they sell our tickets. Well, it looks like we got some chips on our butt.
Subway and a subway entrance. Some kind of tunnel. Newcomers. No, the guy travel guy sits there.
You may recall that one tenement building that I pointed out to you next to the West Side YMCA, right close to Lincoln Center. Well, they left that one standing as a reminder of what that neighborhood looked like years ago. And when it was decided that the New York Philharmonic needed bigger space than Carnegie Hall and more modern, better acoustics, simply didn't get them, but that's another story. In any case, when it was decided that we needed bigger performance spaces and brand new theater for the ballet and a new opera house and so on, it was decided that this area that had been called San Juan Hill, a sort of marginal area, tenement building, marginal slum area, with high unemployment, the result of the loss of manufacturing jobs. Many of the people that lived there were told their tenements were condemned, and I guess by right of eminent domain, it was decided that that area was ripe for development. So the people would have to leave, and the city and state built housing. The government built public housing and playgrounds and schools and recreation areas for people who would be displaced by the construction of Lincoln Center and the destruction of their neighborhood, San Juan Hill. So they did this back in the 1960s, and the area that we're going into now is where many of the people, some of them from the islands and Puerto Rico, moved when their buildings were demolished. And Leonard Bernstein, who was the conductor of the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, and a composer in his own right, saw what was going on, and he took advantage of the social dislocation and upheaval to create a modern Romeo and Juliet tale set to music in New York City against this background of turf and gang warfare, the Sharks and the Jets and so on. What do we have? West Side Story. So West Side Story was a smash hit musical, and then it engendered a movie version of the same name, another big hit. And so all of this played out against this background, this relocation. And the area we're going into now is where those folks who were displaced found new housing and new lives in this part of town. So the film version was being filmed while the Wrecking Ball was demolishing all the tenements over in San Juan Hill. And they left that one example to remind us of what that area looked like before it became totally reinvented as Lincoln Center. Our bank buildings, for some reason, are considered landmark establishments. So there we see an old bank building, and today it's got a drugstore, a pharmacy in there, and a school or something. And a Catholic church here on our left. We're on Amsterdam Avenue, which is 10th Avenue with a name. And we come into this barrio where many people are Latino or Hispanic and speak Spanish as a first or second language. So you got shops and restaurants that cater to these people. And now we see the housing projects up there on the right. And there you see the bells. I just heard some bells. Look at the limestone church there with the arches. You can see the bells up there. And keep looking at that church. That is St. Michael's Episcopal Church. And the stained glass windows were designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany. So these are real Tiffany windows in the church as we see them there to your left. You see that? So maybe someday I'll actually get around to going in there. The outside, St. Michael's Church.
Children at play.
And we'll be going by the American, whatever, youth hospital, on the right. And it's an old hospital for elderly ladies that was built in the 1800s. Youth hospital, they frequently we have a stop here if anybody wants to get off. Hospital there, you see. Anybody getting on here? People getting on? Are these touristas here?
Down.
What do you think? What's the tribal council say? We want them on the bus or not? Yes.
Yeah.
Thumbs up? Okay, so we welcome them and come on up. We got seats here for you. And they may not be together, but they're scattered about.
That'll be that. And that'll be that. Down. None to go. Bloomingdale Playground.
All right.
It's getting low. We'll be clicking out in a minute. Remember
Now you
that.
see what's happened with some of these buildings. You see these cornices here. Some buildings, what they've done is a folly. They've done themselves a disservice. You see, there's no cornice there, and they built up on top. But apparently, what happens is those were there for a very good reason, and it keeps the water out. So, as an economy, rather than replacing them when they need to be replaced and replacing them properly, people do this here to your left, and they find that in the long run, it's a big mistake. So these tenements built late 1800s, and our next stop is in a moment going to be the Cathedral Church of St. John Mine. So this is the largest Gothic style cathedral in the world. It's not yet finished. We lack the north and south tower. We've got part of it, but and also the transit. But the nave, the main body of the church, is complete. This is the home of the Archdiocese of the Episcopal Church. And we have gardens in here, and look at this, a fountain with no water in it, but nevertheless, a great phantasmagoria of a fountain depicting the ultimate triumph of good over evil. And there you see the head of Bin Laden, or the devil upside down in the claw. And it's an allegory about how life evolved and originated in the water, and in the seas, and gone up to St. Michael with very, very peaceful. Apparently the giraffe is a symbol of peace and so on. So it's really quite the sculpture. So this can accommodate 7,000 people, and it's so big that the Statue of Liberty could fit inside it, minus the pedestal. So it is one huge cathedral, and the cornerstone was set back. So you got some beautiful old buildings. We go underneath the overpass that leads to the law school on our right, and they're celebrating 150 years. And
It's crazy.
So some of the graduates of Columbia University are like a who's who of overachievers. They've got over 60 Nobel Prize winners of, former students and staff. The building, the campus boasts some fine architecture. As you look over here to your left, you'll see examples of, we've got a little church in there, and the Low Memorial Library designed by Kim Mead and Dwight. Dwight Eisenhower was the chancellor until he sought and won election as president of the United States, and both Teddy Roosevelt and FDR studied here at Columbia. Columbia is known for its excellent school of journalism. Older buildings, including the library here on the right, and to your left you got the School of Engineering. Now, Columbia was an all-male preserve up until the 1960s, and the sister school is known as Barnard College. Barnard is across the street here, coming up Broadway. And it is still an independent school, but they're very intertwined, but it is still an independent school, Barnard College. And it was named for one of the former chancellors of Columbia. So this is Columbia's third location, and it's a very, very rich university. It's got an endowment of over $1 billion. They own the land underneath Rockefeller Center, so Rockefeller was paying hefty rent to them for many years, and then they sold it back in 1986 for $450 million. There's Barnard College on our left. That's where Margaret Mead, the great anthropologist, studied. Joe Rivers got her degree there, and Martha Stewart. And here on our right we have the Theological Seminary. Protestant Seminary, and here is the Riverside Church, and an underground parking lot drew people to this church built by the Rockefeller family. They got into dispute with the people over there at the Cathedral Church of St. John's Divine, and they said, well, we'll build our own church. And to get people to their church, they got this underground parking lot, auditorium, broadcasting facilities in there, I think a bowling alley, and 393 feet high with the largest carry-on of tuned bells in the world, named for Mrs. Rockefeller. His maiden name was Spelman. And so this building was inspired by the cathedral at Chartres outside of Paris. And now we come to the Riverside Park that I mentioned earlier, that runs up along the edge of the Hudson River. And Riverside Drive here is a very, very lovely residential street. And what I'm wondering, can we go around or maybe rather than just going straight up, maybe we can just circle Grant's tomb once. So there's a lot to see and talk about. If you don't mind doing that, that'd be great. So you can see they're doing renovations here, and they're cleaning up the building. And the stained glass windows, which they're protecting, were all made in Bruges over in Belgium. And then the craftsmen came over here and set them into this great church. And here on our left we have Grant's tomb. At one time the most popular tourist destination in New York City. This is where the 18th President of the United States, General Ulysses S. Grant, and his wife Julia are entombed in this mausoleum. And there are a few visitors. A lot